Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's play some Tales of Maj'Eyal, doing a guide for complete beginners to this fantastic classic roguelike. So this game I am playing using the client I downloaded from the Tales of Maj'Eyal website and playing on my PC on version 1.74. However, you may also acquire this game by buying it on Steam and playing it through that, which is what I normally do because I want to support the developers of the game. But I'm doing this free online version because I want to show you what the game looks like without any of the unlocks and booting up the exact same way that you would starting a new account and trying it for the first time. And what's kind of nice is I suppose you could try it out online for free to see if it was your cup of tea, and then either donate to the developers or buy it on Steam or something to show your support. So, as I said in the beginning, what is Tales of Maj'Eyal? Well, this is a classic roguelike. It's a first-person role-playing game that you can kind of see happening in an animated way in the background. It's a top-down, turn-based game with a character that gains loot, experience, and you progress through a story to try to complete the game's quests and objectives. Now, this is going to be a spoiler-free look at the game. I'm not really going to talk about the lore or reveal anything much to you beyond the beginning, because my goal here is to just get you introduced to the game and get you some nice foundations, understand the controls, things you can do to help get you on the right footing so you can enjoy this game more and not go too much further beyond that. One of the things I really enjoy about Tales of Maj'Eyal is that it has music, sound effects, a good user interface, and a lot of kind of quality of life features that some of the classic roguelikes, Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, for example, do not have, which is a more robust tile set and some of the niceties of more modern games. So that's a really big plus for it. It also has a great story, which I said I won't reveal, and it's not too difficult once you get into it. And so let's take a look. I'm going to start a new game. You can make an online profile if you want to share your scores or stats with others, and I'm not going to do that right now. I am playing on vanilla. I have none of the DLCs or the add-ons enabled right now because I'm just going as a new player. So I'm going to click New Game, and you'll get this classic loading screen and come to this character creation screen. Now, this is something that I mentioned before, but you'll see that a lot of the options for your race and your class are locked. I haven't unlocked any of them. This is a new account, and so you will need to do things within the game to unlock these. Now, there are things you can do to just unlock all of them if you really want, or you can, look online for exactly how to do that, but I'm not going to talk about that to spoil anything unless it comes up in the guide as we're going. I will talk about it. Now, you get to pick if you want to be a male or a female. You can put your name. And then for campaign, we're going to be doing the default campaign, Maj'Eyal, the Age of Ascendancy. Okay? And I'm going to be playing on normal difficulty. And I'm going to be playing on permadeath mode for roguelike. This is entirely optional. You can do this if you want, or you can change this to adventure mode, which gives you some extra lives. So if you die, you get to resurrect at the start of the level, and that could be something you choose to do if you wish. I'm going to play on roguelike because that's what I always play on, and I just enjoy roguelikes. I love the challenge that it presents and the real sense of urgency and fright that are created when you have a character that if it dies, the game is over. So we're going to do that. And you'll notice in the upper right there is a tutorial. I'm not going to be going through the tutorial with you, but I highly recommend that you check it out. It's something nice to use in tandem with this guide to kind of really get you a nice footing into the game, but it's wonderful that they build in a tutorial. This is meant to supplement or go along with that and just kind of give my impressions and ideas having learned to play the game. So I have a Let's Play of this game on the channel, and there'll be a link in the description below of my kind of experience getting into it and learning the tricks of the trade from much more experienced players as I go. And this guide represents the knowledge that those kind souls have imparted upon me, that I was hopefully able to absorb, and also just my own experience through trial and error of things that I've learned in this game and my knowledge of roguelikes in general. So I think for this guide, in a similar way to my Caves of Cub guide or my Dungeon Crawl guide, I like to pick something pretty strong to start out with for the first time, to give us a good chance of getting far into the game. Because really, what you're trying to do with a roguelike is make a deep run with a character so you can get exposed to a lot of the game's content and start to develop a feel for what threats are deserving of your attention, what aren't too troubling, and what order to do things in, what are best practices, and on and on and on. So to that end, we're going to go with a dwarf as our race. Now, over on the left column here, you'll see different races, and there's like a flavor description of them. And the only dwarf that we have available is just this regular dwarf. But if you see, if like we choose human, for example, there are two sub options within the broader category of human. And we're just going to go with this dwarf. And dwarves get +4 strength, -2 dex, and +3 con, -2 magic, +3 willpower, and +0 cunning. They get 14 life per level, and they have a 0% experience penalty. Also, they get an ability called Resilience of the Dwarves, which allow them to increase their armor, physical, and spell saves for a few turns. So all of this contributes to making a very hardy character, as you would expect with a dwarf. So we're going to pick a dwarf, and when you select it, it goes into green. You'll see that my picture changes to kind of reflect my sprite. Now, if you want to change the tile for your character, you can click Custom Tile, or you can customize this, but I really just usually go with this as default. Then over on the class section, we're going to open up the warrior type, and you see we have a few choices, and I'm going to go with a bulwark, okay? So a bulwark is a sword and board character, and they're really, really formidable in terms of defense. And this will allow you to stay alive. And I think that this is a fun character to have a high chance of survivability, but surprisingly, they do a very good amount of damage as well. So this is a great build. We're going to go with a Dwarven Bulwark, but you feel free to try whatever you want, of course. If you want to play more of a caster, or you want to play a ranged attacker, or a berserker, or something else, those are all excellent. This is just what I'm going to use in this guide to get us into the game and be strong. You can see that once I select this, the class icon rather appears here, and then I have these like shields rotating around my character, which are animating my special effect, which we'll see as we get into the game. So I'm going to pick a name for myself, and I'm going to call myself Dr. Incompetent. And now, once this is all done, I'm going to select play, and it's going to generate the level. And boom, right away, music kicks in, and you're going to see a level up screen like this. So what happens with this screen, and a great thing to know about this game in general is that you can just mouse over things to get a whole bunch of information. So that's extremely useful. Now you'll see that there are 4 categories here that points have gone into, except for category points. We didn't get anything there, but we have 3 stat points to spend at level 1. We have 2 class points to spend at level 1, and we have a generic point. So these are the stats in this column to the left. In this second column here are the class points, okay? And then the generic points are in this right column. Now, the category points would be like me unlocking one of these subcategories within the class section, or something I've done to unlock a generic category or something. So I could train if I wanted one of these more advanced sections. I would need to do that with category. Also, you can get a new inscription slot or improve the efficacy or the efficiency of one of the known categories. But we'll worry about that when we get to it. It does say that you get these at level 10, 20, and 34. So we have to get to level 10 to get a category point. All right, so let's look at the stats. If I mouse over, strength, for example, it tells you what it does. It defines your character's ability to apply physical force. And here's the money. It increases your melee damage, damage done with heavy weapons, your chance to resist physical effects, and your carrying capacity. Our current value is 19, and our base value is 15. That means our base is 15, but it's being enhanced up to 19. Now, if I want to buy a strength point, I can left-click on this, okay? And then you'll see that this goes up. My current value would go up, my base value would go up, and then underneath on the left, or I'm sorry, the right column with the description of strength, you'll see that it says stat gives : in blue. Those all have increased to show you what putting that point has done. So we get 1 physical power, 1.8 max encumbrance, and 0.35 physical save. Now, if I right-click on that, I can undo the allocation of the point, okay? But I'm going to put 2 points into strength, okay, to raise up my strength, because this is basically, this character is a strength-based character. I mean, I'm trying to be super strong, have huge, heavy armor, smash things with my shield, and, sustain a bunch of incoming damage. So strength is vital. And then also vital to us would be Constitution, which is our ability to withstand and resist damage, and it affects our maximum life and our physical resistance. So if I put 1 into Constitution, for example, I'm going to get 4 more hit points, and my healing modifier goes up, and my physical save also goes up. So you can experience, or you can allocate using a ratio that you like for your character as you get familiar with the game. I like a 2-to-1 strength to Constitution ratio right now. Just, make sure I'm doing damage, but also get my hit points up a little bit with this. But you could go all strength if you wanted, and that would be totally fine. Now, we have 2 class points to spend, okay? And we can spend those on the categories within class that we know, which are designated with this green text. So we know the technique called Shield Offense, Shield Defense, Combat Techniques, and Combat Veteran. And you can see that we have all of these leftmost abilities at access, but we only right now currently have Shield Pummel and Shield Wall learned. But if we wanted to learn Rush, for example, we would have to put a point into here to get 1 out of 5 points to be able to use this ability. Quick Recovery is a passive ability, but right now we don't have anything in there. And what I really like doing with class points, especially early on, is to just unlock as many abilities as you can get to have different things that you can use. So I'm going to actually spend a point on Rush. Now, Rush is an ability, and it says, if you mouse over this, it tells you kind of like a lot of great information about this. And again, this is a thing I really enjoy about Tales of Maj'Eyal, is the transparency of the information. So let me break it down with you. Let's just go slowly through what Rush does. So it's telling us that we recently learned it, but we can right-click to unlearn it, of course. And its current talent level is 1 with the point that we're putting into it. And it requires strength of 12 to get to talent level 1. And then the increasing strength numbers that are separated by commas, 14, 16, 18, 20, those are the requisites to level up this ability further. So if we wanted, for example, to have Rush level 5, one of the prerequisites for that to happen would be a strength of 20, which we already now have. But you would also need to be at least 4th level for that to happen, because then there's a level requirement. Now, the effective talent level is going to kind of show us a reflection of where we're at. So right now it's 1.3, and that's because of our combat technique multiplier, which is 1.3. But if we were to spend a category point on our, technique, combat techniques, that multiplier would go up, and then the effective talent level would match that. Right now, this is use mode activated, so this is something to pay attention to. Activated abilities you will drag onto your bar that goes along the bottom of the screen that we'll look at in a moment, and use them whenever they're not on cooldown or whenever you want to use them. Whereas, for example, quick recovery is passive. It doesn't go on your bar. It just is always going. All right. Now, stamina cost is underneath use mode activated, and it's 26.4. So this is going to cost us 26.4 stamina to use every time. This is another reason why Constitution is something that is good for our health, but we want more ability to generate stamina. Okay, so we have good strength and we have good constitution, but if we want something like stamina, then quick recovery is extremely helpful for us to get the stamina back from something like this. So we'll talk about that as it happens. Now, range, it's telling you how far you can move with this ability, and at the bottom it tells you the description of what this actually does. So rush is something that says you rush toward a target with incredible speed and perform a melee attack for 120% of your weapon damage that can daze the target for 3 turns if it hits, but you need to build up a running start, so you must be 2 tiles away for this to work. Think of this as like a charge from World of Warcraft or something. Like, you run in and you like bash them with your weapon really hard and you try to kind of daze them. It's a great thing to have against somebody who is using a ranged attack against you, like a spellcaster or an archer, so you can close the distance very quickly, and I'll talk about that. So it's range 6, which means you can move 6 tiles with it, but as you level this up, you can move even further, which is awesome. But you have to, as it says, be at least 2 tiles away. Now, the cooldown is how many turns after you've activated it must you wait before you can use it again. So it actually decreases as you level it. So leveling is awesome because it means you can move further, and it is on cooldown less. So that's good. Travel speed, instantaneous, means basically if you do this, you move instantly, and so no one gets to do anything to you while you're charging. Okay, they're going to get to hit you like if they see you initially, and then once you arrive at their square and hit them, they're going to retaliate. But while you're moving, they don't get to like shoot at you. So this is so nice for getting into melee range as quickly as possible without being vulnerable to lots of attacks that are ranged. Usage speed, it takes 100% of a turn, and it does your weapon speed, so it's going to take your whole turn to use this. That's fine. And that is how to understand this ability. Every ability has different information, roughly, that it's telling you based on, is it use mode, is it activated, is it passive? This ability, Shield Wall, for example, is a sustained use mode, which means you trigger it, and then it just takes 30 stamina to maintain this ability. Sustained stamina cost 30. That means, like, I have to take 30 stamina out of my max stamina and just set it aside, and it's reserved for this ability. It can't be used while Shield Wall is on, and you'll never use below that to turn off Shield Wall. Shield Wall will always just keep this 30 stamina for itself to keep itself active unless you turn it off. But it's kind of cool. It's like a set it and forget it, and you will just always have this on. Now, the other ability that I'm going to use my class point on is Quick Recovery. So this will help us get stamina back more per turn. Now, of course, you don't have to do this. If you wanted to level up Shield Pummel or Shield Wall or something like that to be more effective, do more damage, then rock out. And what you can do is look at this and see, okay, well, if I wanted to put another point into Shield Wall, I'm going to click on this, for example, and now in the bolded green, it's showing me what I get for leveling this up one more. All right, so basically I get more damage, and I can stun them for one more turn. But I'm going to right-click it to take that away, and it will dial back the benefit of this. I'm going to go with Quick Recovery, not because it's fantastic, but because it's pretty good, and I like having as many different things happening for my character as possible at first. So I want to get that first point, but I don't know if I'm going to necessarily invest more into quick recovery later, unless I'm like, oh my god, this is an amazing ability, I love this, I want to really invest in this because stamina is a problem for my character. All right, so now we've spent our class points getting rush and getting quick recovery, but like I said, if you want shield pummel, which is like our basic kind of combat attack ability, or shield wall, which is our sustained defensive ability, you can do that. You could even level up rush one more time. For example, let me right click on that and then push this up, and I can go here with rush and put it up to level 2 if I really love this and I want to be able to move 7 tiles, but I don't think it's that worth it. In a lot of ways, the returns are diminishing on these, so if you find an ability that you're using all the time that you love, then go ahead and jam out and pump that up. But for now, let's have a good repertoire and expand and learn what we like. Now, with generic points, we're going to come over to this category or this column, and we start with Resilience of the Dwarves, which is our activated ability that has a huge cooldown, 45 turns, but it's great because it gives us +9 armor, 29% armor hardiness, 14 spell and physical saves for 8 turns, okay? So this makes us very stout, and like if you're fighting a tough enemy, you pop this and you will be able to hang in there a bit longer. Now, as far as what else we can get, all right, hey, I would like, let's say I want to get heavy armor training. Well, heavy armor training is excellent, but luckily, as a bulwark, you start out with 2 points already in heavy armor training, so you can use heavy armor right out of the gate. You don't need to worry about that. You also start with 1 in weapon mastery and 1 in combat accuracy. Now, you'll see how all of these are in red, and that means that I'm not meeting some requirement. And if you meet the requirement, it'll be in green, but if you don't, it'll be in red. So for example, for thick skin, I can't get thick skin right now because I need a constitution of 23 to have it. As you can see, the hyphens at the top of the description are really telling you the key information that you need to get this, all right? So for heavy armor training, we actually have, okay, what we need for this. We have the strength for level 2, but we can't invest anymore because we don't have the strength to get level 3. And you'll see that strength is not in red in this case because I meet the requirements to get the ability initially or at the level I have it. But you can just look over at the next category up and see, do I have a 26 strength? No, I have a 21 strength. I can't get this right now. So that's that. And everything in red is like, hey, you can't even get level 1 here right now. I could level this up if I wanted to because there is no requirement for Resilience of the Dwarves, our racial ability, except level. But what I think might be nice is let's look down here at Vitality. So this is a passive ability that says you recover faster from poisons, diseases, and wounds, and you reduce the duration of all such effects by a percentage. And then whenever your life falls below 50%, your regeneration increases by 14.6 for 8 turns. And this can only happen once every 15 turns. So this is our choices for generic points are either to save the point for later, if we want to put it in Resilience of the Dwarves, or to put it in Vitality. And I'm going to put it in Vitality because poisons can be nasty. Diseases and wounds, like, you know, these kind of debuffs or damage over time things, I don't want them to kill our character, and this just really helps us stay alive. Especially, you see, if I fall below 50%, I'm going to get a surge of regeneration, and that can make the difference in my character. Again, it's hard to overstate in some ways how helpful at least some access to these survivability or defensive abilities can be in a permadeath game. So I'm going to select this, and now you can see across the top, I have everything applied, and once I'm ready and I feel good about what I've done, I just push the escape key, and it says, do you accept the changes? And I say yes. And then you dive into the game, and it says, welcome, Dr. Incompetent. You are a member of the proud but secretive race of dwarves. Hailing from the Dwarven Empire of the Iron Throne, you've been sent to investigate the old fortress of Reknor, which has been overrun by orcs. Upon arriving, most of your team got killed, and now you must crawl back to the Iron Council and report what you saw there. Only you and Norgan, a fellow dwarf berserker, have survived, but the orcs will not let you go easily. You have sworn that once you reach the Iron Council safely, you will take on a life of adventure looking for fame and treasure of old, away from all those orcs. So this is kind of your backstory and your lore as you get into the game, and once you're happy understanding your background as a dwarf, you push escape, and you're in the game. And look, a unique thing about a dwarf is you start with a buddy, Norgan, okay? So let me just not move and just kind of let the game sit here, okay? And let's dive into it. So, I want to talk about what you see on the screen from the top to the bottom before I move. Luckily, this is a roguelike. It's a turn-based game, so this orc soldier right here that you can see is not going to attack us until we move. We can wait all day and chill out and take in the sights, okay? So let's look. Right now, you'll see that in the upper left corner, it says my name, and this is my kind of quick character information. This bag tells me how much gold I have. I'm level 1. This bar is telling me how much of the way I am experience-wise towards getting the next level. This red bar is my hit points. It gives you numerical representation, a graphical representation with the red, and then also it tells you how much you're regenerating per turn. Then this kind of tan bar is my stamina, okay? And it tells you how much I regenerate per turn, how much I have. This is a little picture of my character. Up here, you'll see that there is an indicator in red of me and my party member, Norgan. Sometimes in the game, you can get somebody who is with you, a party member, and you generally, in this case, I don't have control of this guy. He's doing his thing. But sometimes you can take control, like if it's you're an alchemist and you have a construct, you can move it around. Or sometimes you might get a party member for a quest or something, and they will be shown kind of up here. And the red is our health bar. All right, so our life is at 100%, so this is fully red. As this will decline as our health goes down, and this way you can kind of keep track of how much health you have. But you can also, by looking at our tile, see our health in the green bar that's next to our character. Conversely, you can see that with enemies and their green bar. All right, in the upper right corner, you'll see that there is a mini-map that shows what we have seen. And it says escape from Reknor level 1, which is what we're in Reknor. We're trying to get out of here, and we're on level 1. In the bottom left, you'll see a log of all of the information that's being displayed. Character control, switch to player, that's us. And then there's some more like system information. We've accepted the quest. Reknor is lost, and we can push J to see the quest log. Indeed, this is our journal. Push J for it. You can like look at the quest and see the instruction of it if you've completed it, and give some ideas of it. Push escape to get out of that. Then you'll see that there are some items and abilities that have been displayed down here on the bottom bar. Now this bar is perhaps looks different than yours, and some things may appear different than your screen. I tried to match this up as best as I could, but it looks like it's kept some of my settings, even from the Steam game, I think, though I'm playing through the client. So I like to have this double stacked ability bar because I don't have very many right now, but as your character gets stronger, believe it or not, you might start to get so many different abilities that you need to have 2 stacks of hotkeys. And I tell you what, that's one of the great things about Tales of Maj'Eyal, is how many different abilities you have. Now, the abilities are listed down here. I have block, I have resilience of the dwarves, I have my shield pummel, I have my shield wall. Remember, these are all the active abilities that I learned. I also have rush, And these are the things that we were looking at when we leveled up. Now, this is your hotbar. You can feel free to move these things around, drag and drop different abilities, and organize this how you like. Over here on the hotbar, in the green bordered bars with the green icons, are my infusions. This is a great thing about Tales of Maj'Eyal, which are basically your magic almost. You're infused with special powers like making a shield or healing yourself, and any character can get these. It doesn't matter if you have spellcasting ability, you can just use infusions, but you have a set number of them that you can have equipped at a time. Right now, I believe we can only have 3 infusions, and you start with 3. We start with a healing infusion, and again, pro tip for everything Tales of Maj'Eyal, just mouse over something if you don't know what it is, okay? You can mouse over this healing ability and you see that it's activated. It has a cooldown of 12 and it only affects me personally, and it activates the infusion to heal yourself for 50. Alright, so we instantly heal for 50 and we cleanse 1 wound, poison, or disease effect that's on us. So this ability is great for getting rid of a poison or something. It has a small heal attached to it. This ability is regeneration, and it's a much more powerful healing. It gives you 100 health, double the healing, but it's over time. It's over 5 turns, okay? So this is the way a lot of healing in this game works. It's over time, so you kind of have to really pay attention to your health and use these things early, because if you're like at 1 hit point and you're like, oh, I need to heal, well, you do have this infusion to get some healing back, but that's instantaneous. But this ability is going to take some time to kick in. And then if you need time, however, you also have this ability right here, which is going to, it's the wild infusion, and it can cure us of 1 random physical effect and reduce all damage taken by 14% for 4 turns, okay? So this gives you some damage reduction, which is great, and it can cure us of some kind of terrible ailment that we couldn't get rid of, or if we have more than 1 or something like that. But you'll see it gives you a 14% reduction, but it's not a guarantee. So all of these things are fantastic, okay? And they help us heal. So you don't really drink potions in this game. You use your infusions and abilities for healing. All right, so now I've talked a ton about what the screen looks like, and now it's time to actually attack. So we see an enemy on the screen, and we have our buddy here. You can mouse over everything to get more information, okay? You can also push the L key to kind of like look around. All right, and it will let you target known entities on the screen, all right? And you can push enter, and I can inspect the creature to get this like really, really blown up explanation of everything that this character is all about, okay? So we can see, you know, what level it is, how much health it has, its modifiers, attack information, like, you know, how much damage it might be able to do, its defensive abilities, any talents that it has. It has an inscription itself for movement. It has some talents. It has the ability called Crush, and you can mouse over that to see what it does. And you can see even what equipment it has. It has an iron battle axe, for example. So this is super useful for just getting a sense of the creatures as you're learning the game. But you can also just mouse over it and get a tooltip window, which is a smaller breakdown of a lot of that information, and most of what we just saw you can actually see here. It has full health. Here's its accuracy. It's got a main weapon that is going to do potentially 17 damage to us, and it tells us it's from the Orc Pride faction, which is hostile to us, and we've killed 0, and it's targeting us currently. Now, if I mouse over my buddy, you'll see that in the bottom portion of this description window where it says faction, he's from the Iron Throne, which is our faction, so he's friendly. He has a positive 100 reaction to us, and so it's in green. That means he will not attack us. He's not hostile. He currently has no target, and his behavior is melee. That's like his AI script is running for melee because he's a berserker. He wants to get close. And here's us, okay? And you can see your own information if you like. Now, what I want to do here is I walked over to the left one, and we have revealed another Orc Warrior male here, but now it's time to fight. So I do not currently have Shield Wall activated, but I'm going to push the button and activate it. Now, you'll see that what happened is that took a turn. And while I was doing that, I was actually planning on trying to charge at him, but he charged at me instead. So he had his movement infusion that we saw, and he moved at us with extreme speed, and he healed himself. So his infusion kind of did both of those things, I suppose. Healed him and helped him move really fast. But luckily for us, he didn't really even need the healing because he was already at full health. We hadn't hurt him yet. Now, you can see that Norgan, our buddy, is targeting the Orc soldier because he sees him. He's within his range, and he's like, I'm going to go hit him when it's his turn. And for us, we have Shield Wall on, and let's just fight this guy. Now, you can do a few things to fight. You can walk in that direction. So you can just walk into the guy, all right, if you want. Or you can left-click on him. But in this case, what I want to do is actually use Shield Pummel. So I'm going to left-click on Shield Pummel, and it says hits the target with 2 shield strikes, doing 136 and 166% shield damage. If it hits a second time, it can stun the target for 2 turns, okay? The stun chance increases with your accuracy and your strength. So, I did this, and let's look at the window. He was our only target, so it just did this on the guy that was next to us, okay? But you can also right-click on him and bring up your other abilities that are off of cooldown if you want right here. And so that's a thing. I'm going to push escape and get rid of that. Now, let's look at the combat log and see, okay, so we hit him with our ability for 18 physical and 20 physical. So you can see our Shield Pummel does 2 attacks. And we hit him twice, and then this is the total damage that we did in red right here. And then he tried to attack us, and he missed. So we can look at him, and this is a great part of the game, and this is the real meat and potatoes of combat. You can see very clearly how many hit points this guy has. He has 118, all right? It's the red text underneath his level in this window. And just as I talk best practices to you guys as we get into this game, take it easy. Go nice and slow. There is no rush. Actually, rushing, and I'm not talking about the ability rush, I'm talking about moving quickly, is one of the easiest ways to die in a permadeath game. Take your time. Read the information. So now I can just look at this and make my decision. This guy is at 76% of his max health. He is now being hit, or he's now in range of Norgon, and he's still targeting us, but Norgon can start hitting him. And we look at our available options, and let's make a decision. Do I want to use an infusion right now to heal? Do I feel that the situation is dire? Not really, all right? This guy is on us, okay? But he only was able to hit us for 9 damage when he charged in on us, and that's not too bad. So I'm going to stand here, and I could, if I want, use my Resilience of the Dwarves, and this is going to last for 8 turns, okay? I'm going to wait to use this, and here's why. This guy right here, this Orc Warrior, all right, he's targeting us, so he's going to come over and try to attack us. So I'm going to wait to make sure I get full value out of this. If I were to use this right now, by the time this guy gets over here, it might wear off. So I want to try to use this when there's 2 targets, and we're not going to kill this guy next turn necessarily, unless Norgan just rips this guy apart. He is level 3, and we're only level 1, so Norgan is stronger than us. It's a kind of cool benefit you get. starting with a dwarf is that you get this dude to help fight with you. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some different ways to do combat. I'm going to right click and I'm just going to say attack. Alright, and we hit him for 27 physical damage, which is a ton. But then Norgon used Stunning Blow and hit him for 52. And then he hit us for 4, but now he is stunned. So actually, what I said about not killing him in one turn turns out to be false. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Resilience of the Dwarves right now, just in case he wants to try to hit us again. And I'm going to just right-click on this dude and attack him again. And here we go. So this is classic roguelike. And what do I mean by that? Look at the Fog of War. You can see all of these black squares. I can't see there. I've never explored this place. My minimap shows me everything I know. And now we have a giant white rat coming in, and we have this orc warrior coming in, okay? And then there's also some treasure up here, which is fun. But let's look at this enemy. And we need to make a decision right now. Which enemy is more difficult? This is one of the, at least for me personally, one of the more challenging parts of Tales of Maj'Eyal is assessing threat. And so we need to start getting really good at this to help us survive. So right now, here's some things I can do to assess the threat. I can right-click and say Inspect Creature, and I can go to its attack and see like how much damage it can do, okay? And it has no equipment, and it might do like 3 damage, you know? But if I inspect this creature, and I go to attack, this guy has 16 damage. He is also level 2. So sometimes experience level is an indicator of power. It can be a good first thing to think about, but it's not always indicative of power level. And if you're coming from a game like Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup or other roguelikes where enemies that are higher than your character's level are just incredibly difficult, that's not always the case in this game. There's many other factors you need to weigh when you're determining threat. So it's damage, it's defenses, it's abilities they have, it's ranged abilities that they have, it's, you know, the terrain, the positioning, their buffs, and their level, their health, on and on and on. But for right now, the decision is pretty easy. This rat is much less of a threat than this guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click and I'm going to rush this guy. Because rush is ready to go. And remember, we just need 2 squares free. We have 2 squares free. But I'm going to, instead of right-clicking, I'm going to click on it like this. And so this gives us the ability to pick. So we can now move the mouse around, and you'll see these blue squares appear. And those are showing the path that we're going to take. And as long as they stay blue, then we can do it. But if you see red at the end target, that means that you can't get there. So, or it means like you can't see it if it's yellow like that. But for example, I can't go back here because the rat is blocking me. I can't go over here because the wall is blocking me. I can't go in there because it's through a wall. But I can do this, and I'm going to left click on this guy, and you see I instantly charge up and I hit this guy. Now, these shields that are surrounding my character, okay, indicate that I have shield wall active. If you want to see what current abilities you have active on your character, over here on the right, it shows you your active both positive and negative buffs if those are available. Generally, negative stuff goes in the column to the left of this right column. So we have Shield Wall, which is surrounded in yellow because it is a sustained ability. And then we have Dwarven Resilience, which is that number 7 means it's got 7 turns left before it wears off. Now, this guy is right here. I have 2 turns left before I can use my Shield Pummel ability, unfortunately. But look what skill just became something we can use. It's Block. So Block was our other starting ability. And what this does is it has a 6-turn cooldown, and we raise our shield into blocking position for 2 turns, reducing all non-mind damage by 41. So it's a defensive ability. However, if we block all of the attack damage, then we will make them vulnerable to a deadly counter strike, which means the next weapon attack will do double, like 200% damage, okay, for 1 turn. Counter-Strike can normally only affect 1 enemy per block. If any damage was successfully blocked, this effect will be removed at the start of your turn. Alright? If the shield has damage resistance to the block damage, the value is increased by 50. So what we're going to do is use block, alright? It's instantaneous, okay? Which means that the travel speed is instantaneous. We don't have to worry about that. But usage speed is 100% of a turn. So this is going to take our turn to use this ability, okay? But we use block, and now, did he not attack us? Oh, he missed us. Okay. So now we're blocking, and you can see that we're blocking by this, like, other shield that's circling us, and we're just going to right-click this guy, and we're going to attack. We removed block, our block effect, that white shield floating around us, because this guy tried to attack us, and he did 4 damage, but we blocked all of it. And if you block all of the damage, you now make them vulnerable to a counter-strike, which is the double damage hit. And you can, the indication for that on their tile are these kind of like slash marks in the upper left corner. So now we know that he's vulnerable. And you can actually mouse over him, and you'll see on the bottom of his tooltip window, it says temporary status effects in orange, counter-strike for 2 turns. He also has infusion saturation, which we'll talk about later, but basically every time you use an infusion, you get saturated with that magical ability, and the more infusions you try to use at once, negative things start to happen to you. It's kind of a way to disincentivize you from just jamming your infusions all the time. You know, there's some complications when you have magical energies flowing through you too much, but if you use them sparingly, that kind of saturation is not a big deal. But it's just something to think about when you're making your decisions, and we'll talk about it when it becomes more important. But that's what's going on there. That doesn't really affect us, but what does affect us is that. Now, I'm going to actually just use Shield Pummel on that guy, and we're going to do double damage to him, and just wreck that guy. We did 52 damage to that dude. And we collected his heart. How about that? So now, Norgan killed the rat, and we killed the orc warrior, and we have 6% experience up building towards level 2. Now, if I push I, and I go into my inventory, okay, you're going to see, oh, yeah, okay. I don't know why, but anyway, the game keeps... The game keeps my stuff. So I'm starting with the transmog chest, which I think you get that actually just by completing... Never mind, you get that by completing the tutorial. So everybody who's completed the tutorial will get the transmog chest. And that's just like collects your treasure, and then the treasure you don't want to keep, you just turn it into money when you leave the level. It's kind of a convenient carrying case to get around encumbrance. Alright, so now that we have fought, and there's no threats visible, let me actually talk about movement now that there's not an imminent threat on the screen. So you can move just using the arrow keys, but beware, as you take every step, the enemies are also moving. So for example, this giant rabbit is moving around, and that's going to be okay. So what I'm going to do is just kind of wait for this guy. Oh, actually I stepped down. I pushed the S key. S moves you down. WASD can move around. Arrow keys can move around. In Dungeon Crawl, S is wait. In this, it's the number key 5. That's right. So now, oh my god, I'm surrounded by enemies. So what do I do? Well, let's talk about it. There's a large brown snake, there's a brown mouse, and there's a rabbit. Of all of these things, the snake is the most scary because, you know, it might be able to poison us, and it's level 2, but most of these things are no big deal. Look at this. They have like 1 hit point, 6 hit points, 13 hit points, as opposed to the warriors. Now, if I inspect this creature and I see its talents or its attack, I'm going to see that it actually doesn't look like this guy can poison us because he has no talent that indicates that, so that's good. I'm going to just walk right here, and another thing you can do to move is click on tiles with the left click button. Now, this is a copperhead snake, okay? And, oops. I'm going to inspect this guy, and this dude can actually poison us with Poisonous Bite. So let's watch out for that. But remember, if we get poisoned, we have our infusion or our wild to get rid of that. So I'm going to walk into this guy, just push down on him and kill him. And we're getting swarmed by animals, but this is not difficult, okay? If I felt like, oh my god, I'm overwhelmed, I could pop my wild to get the damage reduction or start regenerating or something like that, but I'm going to save those. I'm going to instead use block because it's off cooldown. And you can see immediately we blocked all of the damage from this guy, and so we'll just hit him with the double damage, and he got wrecked. Then I'm going to use Shield Pummel, and now when there's more than one target, it gives you this screen where there's all these arrows saying like which target you want to hit, and we'll hit this rat. We got it, and now there's just this giant brown rat left, but unfortunately there is also an orc warrior running around the corner, furious, who wants our blood. He used his infusion of regeneration. In general, when you see this in the game, these kind of like greenish yellow scintillating lights that are vertical shafts of light that are radiating around the bottom of the floor through the creature, that is this indication for regeneration. And he's decided to use his infusion of regeneration even before taking damage. Like, it's a preemptive thing, and it makes sense, actually, from his standpoint, because he sees two beastly dwarves, and he knows he's going to his death. But most enemies in this game only know one thing, which is to run at you and fight you, even if it means their own demise. Now, I'm going to just left-click on this guy. It died. And I'm going to walk left and click on that. And looks like Norgan has engaged this dude. I'm going to walk up here. And now we're on this guy. I'm going to use block because it's available, and we blocked his ability. Look, he actually hit us with some lightning damage, but we blocked it all. A thing that's worth explaining now, and as you can tell, one of the things I love doing about these kind of guides is just explaining what you see as you go to kind of have a nice linear progression to the information. Sometimes when you see damage types, they will be color-coded based on what type of damage they are. So blue for lightning, yellow for electricity, things like that. And that just gives you a reminder, a visual cue when you're looking at the log of like what type of damage. Physical damage is in white, okay? And other damage types will be color-coded. Norgan has actually taken some damage. We can see that by his red bar not being full up here, or we can mouse over him and see he's at 84% health. But that's okay. This dude is in really bad shape, but I'm going to actually not use my shield pummel on him, and I'm just going to use my weapon to take advantage of the counter-strike, because I believe the counter-strike, and let me look at it if you're not sure, if I were to mouse over counter-strike, in the bottom right it says, next melee attack will inflict double damage. So it says melee attack. I think that this counts as a melee attack. Yeah, it says range melee. Okay. So I wasn't sure if it had to be a weapon attack, because this uses my shield's damage, but I'm going to do this, and we just blasted this guy. So he is dead, and now everything is dead. Now, once everything is dead on the screen, I showed you how to move around, but you can see the consequence of that is that you reveal more of the map, and more creatures are flying at you. Before you start moving around, make sure you're at full health. So I'm at 133 out of 144 health. I pushed the R key, and I'm going to try to rest until healed, but then this white mass of worms came onto the screen to interrupt our rest. I'm going to step up here, and I'm going to kill this. These are easy, but there's a bunch of them, okay? So I'm just going to use my block ability. Another way to use these abilities, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 on these. You can click on them on the hotbar, or you can just push the corresponding number key. You can remap all of these to different keys. For example, C6, C7, C8, that's Control 6, Control 7, Control 8. If you want to use keys, I'm going to click on this guy, click on that guy, and click on that guy. They all died. And we're 27% of the way. I'm going to push R to try to rest again, but there's more worms. I'm just going to click on myself to wait. I'm going to click on myself again. Oh, They're going after my buddy, and I don't want him to die, so let me try to take care of him somewhat. And now I'm going to rest. Oh, there's so many worms. All right. Bam. And now we rested to full health. So now at this point, we can explore. You can use the numpad, you can use the arrow keys, you can use WASB, you can use the mouse, but also you can push numpad, numpad moves around, but you can push the Z key to auto-explore. And you can see my character just ran up here and did auto-explore. Auto-explore is one of my favorite things in roguelikes. It just travels around until you see something that makes it stop, which is generally a threat or some kind of environment trigger or a treasure that's worth noting or something like that. And we have now stopped. And there are two things on the screen, and we can look at them and see which is harder. There is an orc soldier and there's a gray mold. Well, it's the orc soldier that's the most difficult. Can I rush this guy? Yes. Nope. I can only rush to a creature. I actually can't rush him, and the reason is, I'll show you. You see how it goes yellow? It's because I can see the enemy, but this square right here is black. I can't see it, so I can't rush through an unknown square. But if I step up here, then let's see if I can do it now. Nope, this still is unknown. Step one more. Now I have a clear path to this guy. I rush over to him. I'm going to use shield pummel. I'm going to use block. I'm just using everything I've got. And in general, you want to do that. Even though the cooldowns can be long for some of your abilities, like, you know, at least at the beginning until you start reducing them, use your stuff if you feel it's necessary, because you don't want to die saving something on cooldown. I'm going to left-click that guy for double damage, hit him again, one more time, and hit that. Okay, great. And we found an elf totem of healing, and I'm going to hit this guy and pick up the money. Now, let's talk about a couple more things here. Let's go over here to this safe area. First of all, regeneration is something you can use when you drop really low, but I'm at like 97%. Maybe if you get into the 80s or the 70s and you're kind of worried and the enemy is not close to dying, then you can jam on this, and you'll get a feel for when you want to use it, but I haven't felt threatened enough to use any of these right now, and I save these for when I really need them. I don't overuse these because of the saturation, and because I don't want them to be on cooldown for when I do really need them. That being said, of course, you do want to use them before it's too late, so you have to learn that balancing act through experience. Now, I'm going to open up my inventory by pushing I. We picked up this citrine, which is just a gem that we can sell or use in the arcane ritual, but we also found this elf totem of healing power, okay? And it can be used to heal ourselves and all friendly characters within 10 spaces for 110, all right? And it's a charm, okay? So if I want to equip this, all right, I equip it in this lower right slot on my character sheet where there's like a picture of a mining pick, because you can actually get mining picks, which are very good for digging around through the environment, or charms can go here. And this charm, I put it here, and now I have it. I also have my lantern, which is giving me the light radius of +3. This is a bad lantern. If I had more light radius, I would see more of the dungeon when I'm walking around. This determines how much I see. Okay, and now I'm going to push escape, and you'll see that on my hotbar over here has appeared the elf totem of healing. Now, it has to go through its cooldown before it's ready, but now we have another heal. So this is great for just keeping us alive, and that's what we found. So I'm in Reknor, and I'm going to just push Z again to fly around and explore. If I push tab, I bring up the minimap, and I can push tab again to hide the minimap altogether. You can see in the upper right it's gone. Push tab again to get it back. Tab to get this zoom in. All right, now, I'm going to tell you something. The minimap hides after you have left the area and is only showing what you are currently seeing, but you can still see the rough outline of the walls, okay? So that's just a feature of this minimap in this game. I'm going to walk over here, and I'm going to hit this guy, and he's dead. Our health is pretty good, but I'm going to rest to full by pushing R and run around. And we found ourselves a rat. I'm going to walk here, kill the rat. Rats are easy. Got it. Don't need to rest. There's a rat. I'm going to walk over here. I'm not using any abilities or charge or anything on rats because animals like this are one shot. If I see something more difficult, maybe. But for now, no thank you. Let's just save everything. And now I tried to run, but it says I can't run because there's a hostile spotted to the south, okay? Which is off screen, all right? Now, and let me see. If you push the caps lock key, okay, this will happen. It says scroll mode, press direction keys to scroll. You can look around by pushing caps lock, okay, and see things without moving your character with the game paused. So the game paused me from auto-exploring because it saw this archer way down here, but it said it was off-screen. So if you want to see something that's off-screen, push caps lock and then use the arrow keys to kind of move around. And then you just push caps lock again and you will exit that. And if you want to... it's now not centered on my character, okay? But that's okay for the time being. I'm just going to walk down, and as soon as I start moving again, you'll see that the camera has kind of recentered itself on me. Now, I'm going to actually try to charge this guy, but I can't because of this single area of line of sight. If I step down one more, now I can. And he hit us for 17 damage. You know, he really zinged us. But now what we get to do is just charge the guy like that, and his arrows aren't going to do anything. I'm going to block him. I'm going to shield pummel him. I'm going to hit him. We counterattacked him, and he's no longer hurting us very hard. Or very much, I should say. I'm going to hit him again. Now, this happens sometimes in the game, but you can see his arrow in the air, and we get a chance to, like, react to that if we want to, use an instantaneous ability that would help us block, like Resilience of the Dwarves. Like, if I see this arrow coming in, I can respond with my instantaneous ability to give me some reduction, and then hit him, and hit him again, and we killed him. And now we walk over and we got a Elm Vile Staff, which is a magical staff for a magical type character. But you can see my health is down, so I'm going to try to rest up to full, and we got there. I'm going to keep exploring, and there's this guy over here, this gray mold, which, you know, he has 1 hit point, so I'm not really worried. And this guy is not hard, and these worms aren't hard either. So we're just going to keep walking around here until we get something that is formidable, which we haven't yet found. We've got a buddy, we're super strong, and by the way, if you want to see our character, you push inventory again, and you go over here, and this is your paper doll. So this is where I put my charm earlier, but when I started out, I started with an iron longsword, an iron shield, and iron mail, which is why we're really stout. We have this, like, heavy armor, okay, which gives us 4 armor, 2 defense. We have the iron shield, and we have the iron longsword. You can see all of their abilities, their damage, and everything right there. Okay, this is an orc soldier, and I charges off a cooldown, so I'm just going to use it on this guy. I'm going to block, and now we have block going. I'm going to shield pummel, and we blocked him, and double damage. Bam, got him. We got debuffed right here, pinned to the ground, which means we can't move for 2 turns. So we'll just wait. I'll just push R to kind of wait. And here comes a wolf. Let's just... Oh, I'm still pinned. So I'll just click on myself, whatever. And now we're not pinned anymore. We can start walking to these worms. Kill everything that's on the screen. Just bunnies, easy stuff. The main threat right now that we've seen are goblins. Or, I'm sorry, orcs. So let's go ahead and take this guy down. Explore. Click over here. Got it. I'm exploring with Z. And we've leveled up. You'll hear that amazing music and you'll know I have leveled up. And so at this point, what you can do is you can click on this and you go back to the level up screen that we saw before. Again, I'm going to put 2 points into strength and 1 point into constitution. I'm now going to say, what ability do I want to level here? Well, what am I using all of the time? I use... let's see. I use Rush a lot, but I'm using Shield Wall. If I do Shield Pummel, what happens? More damage and stuns. I'm going to raise up my shield pummel with my class point. And the reason I'm doing that, I can't do any of these levels because I need to be level 4 to get to these tier 2 techniques. And this gives me 1 extra turn of stun, which is great. Like, if they're stunned, they can't do stuff for an extra turn. That is super helpful to me. Now, over here, what do I want to put a generic point into? If I raise up resilience of the dwarves, okay, all this does is reduce the cooldown, but gives me more armor hardiness, which determines, like, my contribution of my armor to protecting me. And, you know, I don't know if that's really worth it. Just 8 turns of cooldown. Vitality going up will boost how fast we recover and give us more regeneration and more life when we get below 50%. So this, I'm going to raise this one up because this just helps us overall survive. And now that I'm done with my generic points and my stat points and my class points, I push escape, I say yes, I accept the changes, and we're leveled up. And I'm just going to keep exploring. We found ourselves a snake. I'm going to hit that. I'm going to walk over here. My buddy should kill it, and it does. And we're going to walk over here and kill this. Now, there's an orc warrior down here, which is way harder than this large brown snake. I'll let Norgon take it down. He's actually targeting a giant crystal rat that I can't even see. But I'm going to go ahead and charge this. Oh, I can't because of my buddy in the way. I'm going to step over then and charge down here. Okay. And then now we're going to block. We're going to shield pummel and hit him. And this is a very, very common pattern. And we picked up an iron longsword, okay, that you're going to do, which is like charge if you can. If it's really hard, pop resilience to the dwarves if you want some extra help, and then use block, and then shield pummel, and then bang, 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 and they're probably dead. Okay? Now, we picked up a new sword. We also actually picked up some iron plate armor, but we can't get this until we get massive armor trading, which we'll get soon enough. But we did get a survivor's brass lantern, which doesn't give us better light radius, but it gives us a better physical save and healing modifier. Now, if I hold control on this, you can compare the item. It's not the easiest interface to use, in my opinion, but let me show you something else. I'm going to drag this over there and use that. That's better. Now, look at this. Now, if I compare my hateful sword to the sword here, if I hold control, you'll see that armor penetration, crit chance, and attack speed down on the bottom. In parentheses, there is just a dash, which means like these are the same for both weapons. However, the damage in melee, +5 darkness and 6% damage against living, that is unique to the hateful iron longsword and is extra. Like, this has no extra damage like that. Everything else on these swords are the same except for the bottom 2 stats. So if I go over here and select it, you'll see that I got that extra bonus, and that I have a hateful brand equipped on my weapon. Another good way to compare equipment besides looking at that screen and just kind of seeing what's different on each weapon and using the control is to come into the character sheet, and then you can change your equipment, and then it says values in brackets in the parentheses, show changes made from the last character sheet checking. So like, if anything did change between your gear, you can equip it and see on this screen next to all of these abilities, anything in parentheses, you'll see, oh, that has changed since the last time I looked at this screen. And so you'll be able to understand what exactly has changed. Now, this isn't reflecting, like the damage melee +5 darkness is not reflected on this screen, okay? But other kinds of weapons or armor would be reflected. So that's another way to compare. I'm going to keep looking around until it tells us that there's no more threats. But there is a threat. It's down here. I can't get there because I need to be able to see it. Now I can. I'm going to push 7 and just charge at this guy. We're going to block. We're going to shield pummel. And we're going to just hit this dude. He's gone. And we're going to see, oh, here's a mouse. We're going to look around. There's a snake. Oh, here's a bunch of enemies. Now, this is a giant crystal rat. It's a little bit harder maybe than normal, but now it's dead. And here's some iron mail, which we already have, but we could pick it up and sell it. And there's a gray mold to the north that the game sees, so we can't move right now until we get there. And we're going to step back. I'm going to step back again so I can charge this dude. Oh, but they won't let me because I have to go through my guy. What if I... all right, it's not going to happen. I'm going to block and then just shield pummel this dude. I'm going to go ahead and use my resilience of the dwarves. He's dead. He's dead. They're all dead. Get that. And we got a letter, okay? I'm going to not read this so you can read it on your own, but this is one of the really cool things that you'll find in the game are pieces of lore in the form of letters, scrolls, books that kind of help you connect the dots and start to understand a bigger picture of what was going on in a particular location. And in general, it's adventurers in over their heads and terrible things are about to happen to them, but you can read how they unfold and learn the history of the game, and it's really interesting and a great part of this game, in my opinion. Now, we just finished the first level of the dungeon, and we're all done. We're both at full health. We've leveled up. We've talked about the inventory. We've talked about our infusions, our abilities, movement, combat, assessing threat, interface, and I think this is a great start to the tutorial for understanding this game for a complete beginner, and I really hope this explained everything that you need to know so far in the game. But if you have any questions for me, please, I'd love to talk to you about them in the comments below. And if you'd like to see more of this guide, you'd like to see me go further in the game and explore more, please let me know that too, and I'll make more episodes to get this character going more and show you some more choices that you need to make in the game, discuss more strategy and best practices in a non-spoilery way that just kind of gives you a firmer footing so that you can enjoy this fantastic game with a little bit of knowledge and help not die as fast. But you will die, and you'll die a lot, but hopefully you'll have fun doing so. That's what happens to me anyway. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an excellent evening or day, and I'll check you guys next time. Take care.